Okay, I'm going to try something new. This is a blog entry that I did on February 4th, 2012. Sometimes I want to be a carpenter. I have a new project going. Yay! Sometimes I get these crazy ideas that it would be fun to do manual labor. And for the most part, it is fun because I don't have to do it to eat. I have worked in an office for more than 30 years and worked with computers for most of that time. The first job I ever had, other than babysitting, was working in a hospital laundry. I made a whopping $1 per hour. What I remember most about the job is not how hot it was or how heavy the wet laundry was, but how cruel my coworkers were. I remember it not because they were cruel to me, but it was their cruelty to one woman that stuck out. I can still picture her standing there trying to work and ignore their crude, callous remarks. There was nothing particularly outstanding about her. I mean, she was not oozing with ugly, nor was she strikingly beautiful. She had teased up hair. Her makeup was just a bit heavy. She liked that eyeliner. She wore red lipstick, and her clothes were just a bit too tight. Her persecutors were somewhat younger, but were no more striking than she. But their ugly grew like a cancer right down to the bone with each passing day. One day, the youngest of the two came in with obviously too much rouge on her cheeks, and the others just cackled. It was the whispers, snickers, and eye-rolling, and their crudeness that made working there unbearable. After a while, if the object of their persecution had any flaws, I didn't see them. I began to focus on their warts and wonder why they did what they did. Why did they get such perverse pleasure out of tormenting another? The job lasted through the summer, and after I left, I worked as a waitress in several places and made really good tips. But I wanted something more or something different. I sang in a bar in Lawton, Oklahoma one night. It was a country bar, and I was singing folk songs. They were drunk, and I was wishing I was. When they looked like they were ready to start throwing stuff, I thanked them, smiled sweetly, and made a well-timed exit. I eventually made my way east, found out I liked working in offices, and in one way or another, with some time spent in college up and down the East Coast, I worked in offices, managed offices, set up offices, and policies and procedures, until I decided to move to Mississippi and spend almost 17 years doing what I did best, working in an office and on computers. My hobbies have consisted of doing anything that required some type of creativity. When I was in high school, besides wanting to become a nuclear physicist, I was a pretty good artist and even got paid for some of my work. Now I piddle. I doodle. I don't really do a lot of anything as far as art goes. But I always liked what other people did with wood, carving it into intricate shapes or making furniture. Once in high school, I carved a fish out of 2x4s glued together. It wasn't very good and was probably burned up or used for target practice. I was always intrigued when my mother bought some old piece of furniture with chicken poop just encrusted all over it. And she brought it home, clean up, and use in the house. And this brings me to my new thought of working with wood and my new project. About 1985, I purchased a bedroom suite when I moved to the Boston area. Since that time, I've moved several times, and since it was made out of that modern invention called particle board, most of it has been long gone. I managed to save a nightstand intact and 6 drawers from the dresser. Yeah, I saved the drawers. At one point in time, I made 3 cabinets out of 1/2-inch plywood, and each cabinet had 2 drawers. I could stack them or put them side by side for a bench. 1/2-inch plywood is not very sturdy, so those also went by the wayside after a couple of years of use. But I still saved the drawers. Yep, still had the drawers. Well, push has come to shove, and in trying to clear things out, I had to make a decision. Either lose the drawers, toss them out, or build another dresser. Since I had some 5/8 inch oak plywood from another project that didn't quite make it, I decided to use that to make the dresser. So from scraps and leftover wood, I am finally going to make something useful. Last week, I rough cut my dresser sides and some of the other parts. This week I sanded and cut them to fit my design. I don't know if I'll get it done before the end of the year, but who knows? I may even post some pictures showing my progress. I have discovered that although the table saw scares me every time I use it, I don't have to cut anything off if I'm careful. I used a Craig jig to make the connections, and I've got pictures on my blog to show the jig and well, not the jig, but the screw holes that it makes. And I put everything together with screws and used the Craig jig to make all the connections. I've got pictures on the blog that show the positioning of the drawers and the finished project, actually. I haven't quite figured out how to get these photos where I want them on the blog, but that's okay. I still need to get a piece of Luan, which I did do. I got my husband to cut me a piece of Luan and attached it to the back with screws and got everything done. The only thing that I haven't done is put the trim piece on the front sides. The trim piece on the sides, the edge, looks like the trim piece I have going around the top. And I have it, but it's too thick. It has to be planed down, and I haven't quite figured out how to use the planer yet. So, for only about $15 additional for screws and trim, I have a dresser. I started out to make it for me, but it fit my husband's little space quite nicely, and it's huge and it holds all of his clothes. So that's it, and that's what I've been doing, and that's why I would like to be a carpenter sometimes. Shalom. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.